Hey everyone, my name's Shane. I'm a big baseball fan. Welcome to 3 Up, 3 Down. This is your first time here. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who have been here for most of the journey, you'll notice I have definitely moved. We have a brand new start of a setup. The office is still pretty chaotic. Not going to show you that anytime soon, but hopefully we'll in a short time get it organized. But for today, we are back. We're going to be talking some more baseball today. And we're talking about two teams that I'm really intrigued about in terms of what they're doing to produce at both the minor league and major league level. Something really out of the ordinary that really I think other teams need to start to look at doing. In particular, what the Atlanta Braves are doing, which we'll talk about later, as well as what the Chicago White Sox had recently done. Well, also, while we're sitting here today, we'll have a little discussion too on Julio Rodriguez. He's on the verge of signing anywhere from 8 to 14-year contract with Seattle. That's talking anywhere from $200 million up to potentially $450 million. I think that fits in really big to what we'd talk about later with the Braves as well. So as always, I hope you really enjoy this content. We're on our way to 50 subscribers. I hope you love the new setup. We're going to increase it even more, show it off a little bit more. So as always, I think it's time to talk some baseball. Let's go. I've been really high on what the Chicago White Sox were going to do at the Major League level this year, but things have just fallen apart in terms of the Major League team. I had them winning the World Series. I'm not even sure they're going to make the playoffs anymore. Too much inconsistency, too many injuries. It's just not working out in Chicago. But the news did hit recently in the last week of something that I'm really intrigued by in what they're doing in the minor league system with the White Sox. The low A and high A seasons tend to wrap up a little bit before the double A season, and the White Sox have done something really unusual compared to other teams. They have sent as many as 13 prospects from low and high A to double A, and really haven't sent many prospects out from double A to finish the season. And they've brought in almost all of their minor league coordinators into double A Birmingham. They're calling it Project Birmingham in the news. I love the title to that. But 13 prospects, including their top prospect and shortstop, Colson Montgomery. Really intrigued by what they're doing here. They're trying to replicate what 2020 was in terms of Major League development for prospects. There were no games at that time because of COVID, but they really created a developmental system. They brought in a lot of prospects, and that's all they did was work on skills, have inter-squad games, and the like. And that's what the AA Birmingham team is looking at doing, bringing all these coordinators in and giving these young players full access to a lot of teaching, but not playing as many games as they try to fill off the double A season. I'm really intrigued by what the White Sox have done here. I think it really gives, in particular, a chance to make some tweaks, and particular to pitchers and you can talk hitters in terms of their stance, maybe some of the holes in the swing that they're trying to come up. Just really intrigued by what they're doing here. I love the thought of giving more of the coordinators involved here. It really is impressive. You take a look at the list for the White Sox. As we said, top prospect for them, Colson Montgomery. He's going to be at Project Birmingham. Third baseman, Brian Ramos. Right-handers, Nori Vera and Jared Kelly. The 5th, 6th, 14th prospects. We see the 16th, 20th, 26th, 29th in terms of top prospects of the White Sox. That's really intriguing. They're joining the likes of Oscar Colas, Jose Rodriguez, and Sean Burke, the 2, 7, and 9 ranked prospects in Chicago. I think this really could be intriguing. I think we'll see a lot of the Colas, the Rodriguez, Burks, the Montgomerys play the games, but some of these lower end prospects, it's going to be interesting to see if they can develop a culture here where these prospects move through the system together. What we're seeing at the minor league level is that AAA is being used for depth in the major leagues, especially on the 40-man rosters, players that can be shuttled up and down. We're seeing all kinds of young talent really developing at the AA level, and because of this, we're seeing more top-end prospects skip AAA once they're ready for the major league season. AA may be more competitive than it has ever been, and it's really starting to stand out here. Teams are really focusing on developing their high-end talent at AA. The White Sox are clearly doing this right here, putting all these prospects at that AA level, getting them ready for next season, where a lot of them will open the season at AA Birmingham, and giving them the opportunity to enhance the major league team maybe sooner rather than later, and giving them the opportunity to create depth and move them to AAA once they're ready. This is unheard of across the minor leagues. You just don't see this type of thing. It's really unique from the White Sox, especially considering this is more of an analytics approach, and the White Sox are not an organization known for this type of thing. Heck, they got Tony La Russa as their major league manager. That is far from analytic driven. So I'm really intrigued by where this goes. I'll try and check in with it next season to see what the results are for the White Sox. And if anything, you're developing a winning culture of young talent that moves up. My best comparison is the Toronto Blue Jays from the New Hampshire days, where Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Cavan Biggio, even Nate Pearson were all involved in the same team in New Hampshire. In fact, Vladdy had moved up to AAA, and when the AAA season ended, he went back to AA for the playoffs, and that team won a championship. It's very, very interesting to see if the White Sox can replicate this kind of thing, where you have a very core group of players move through the minor leagues together and develop a lot of talent and cohesiveness and a winning attitude, hopefully at the same level. I think that's lots going on in Pittsburgh as well. I think there's a lot of teams looking at this, so I'm very intrigued as what this is going to go. I love to see what the new approaches are to the minor leagues, and if you building the core and moving it consistently through the minors together, provide the production is there, if that becomes a new approach, I'll be very interested to see where it goes. Our second team that I want to talk about is the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are doing what I'm calling now today Project Atlanta, fit the Project Birmingham theme, but they're doing something that other teams are not doing, but I think are very much on the verge of jumping onto, especially with the news from Seattle that's coming out today. The Atlanta Braves are locking up young talent to long-term deals. They're getting the primes of their careers of their young players under contract and cost certainty. They've done it 3 times already this season. They've done it in the past, but GM Alex Anthopoulos really seems to be taking this to the next level for the Braves. You take a look at what they've already done in the last season and before when they are dealing with these types of contracts is very intriguing, and I'm not understanding why other major league teams aren't jumping onto this kind of bandwagon because it's been so successful for the Braves. So let's take a look at those 3. Just recently, the Braves locked up center fielder Michael Harris, 21-year-old top prospect, just came up this year to an 8-year, $72 million contract. That buys up all of Harris's pre-arbitration, arbitration, and the first 2 years of free agency, which could increase to 4 as it could become a 10-year, $102 million contract, given that there's some options involved. And to think that down the road, that Harris could be playing as a 29, 30-year-old on only a $15 million contract, if he hits the potential that what the Braves expect from him, and even continues on with what he's done this season, this would be a massive win for the Atlanta Braves and a huge boon in their contract and their budget. They've already done it this year as well with Austin Riley, 10-year, $21.2 million for a 25-year-old third baseman who the last 2 years has been in the MVP contention, both years in the National League. They did it as well with Matt Olson, 28-year-old first baseman, 8 years, $168 million. What I love about these contracts, you start to look at Harris, max term, max length, he'd be 31 years old. Riley topping out 35 years old. Olson topping out 36 years old. These players are going to be able to play successfully defensively at their age. I'm on the record saying I wouldn't sign Juan Soto to the 15-year deal that's been rumored out for him. The reason why is I don't think Juan Soto can play defense in the outfield at age 34, 35, 36. And I think by the time he hits age 32 or so, he's going to be primarily a DH. And I'm not paying $40 million for a designated hitter. Not going to happen. But players like Riley, Olson, and Harris, this eats up the primes of their careers. Maybe they don't re-sign or finish their career with Atlanta after this, but it takes them right through their prime years. It gives Atlanta cost certainty. They know what they're paying their players each year, and they can budget around the holes that they need to fill. Now, if you take a look at comparables to this, Wander Franco signed 11-year, $182 million to the Rays. This is on the same general guidelines to this, but you think of it, it's 1 year more and potentially $80 million more than what Michael Harris II got. Yes, they're 2 different types of prospects. Franco's much higher rated, but if this doesn't work out for the Rays, it's going to hurt them more than it's going to hurt the Braves. Fernando Tatis Jr. got 14 years, $340 million, and boy, does that look ugly right now with the 80-game suspension. You'll be hearing more about that in a future video from me. The Braves have done this before, though. Ronald Acuna Jr., 8-year, $100 million. There's your standard comparable to Michael Harris II. Acuna is a higher rated prospect than Harris is, but very comparable in terms of talent, not far off. Acuna got more money, but this locked up Atlanta is a big reason why they were able to win a World Series last year with their budget being set. They built around these types of players. They know their core players. And you look at the Ozzie Albies deal, 7-year, $35 million contract they gave him, $5 million a season. That is the massive deal, considering that they were able then to go out and sign starting pitching, build their bullpen. This Ozzie Albies contract may be the biggest example as to why the Atlanta Braves are being so successful for a continuous period of time. They recognize their long-term potential in their younger prospects. They lock them up to team-friendly contracts that also give the player a lot of cost certainty as well, because there is no guarantee in terms of performance that a player would make this type of money down the line. I think these are massive deals for both the player and the team, and I think the Braves have become the experts on this. You take a look at the production they're getting from the players. Michael Harris II here in his rookie year, 280 at bats, so we're no longer talking small sample size. 18 doubles, 13 homers, 43 RBIs, 15 steals, 504 slugging, a 127 OPS plus. He's absolutely killing the game. Austin Riley in the last 2 years, we're talking an 898 and a 905 OPS, 134, 146 in the OPS plus. I think he's big time in contention for the NL MVP. If it wasn't for Paul Goldschmidt right now, I think Riley may be your runaway winner. 33 and 31 home runs already. Massive, massive 2 seasons. And he's locked up from age 25 to 35. I think that's a huge deal for the Atlanta Braves. And lastly, finish it off with Matt Olson. We know what Matt Olson has been. You look at that OPS plus in the right-hand column. 166, 117, 139. Forget the 103 of 2020. That's a miscue of a year anyway. 153, 126. Absolutely crushing it. His slugging is always up in the 500 or very close to 500. The on-base percentages there, the home runs and productions. Look at it already this year, 27 home runs, 87 RBIs. The production is there. He walks some. Yes, he's striking out too much this year, but the walks are still there. The on-base percentage is still there. This is how you build a consistent winner. And I think the Seattle Mariners, we talk about this as news is talking about today, the Mariners on the verge of signing Julio Rodriguez, 21-year-old center fielder, to anywhere from an 8 to 14-year contract that could end up being anywhere from $200 million on the 8-year type of deal, all the way up to as much as $450 million in terms of a 14-year deal. There's a lot of team options, club options, mutual options, all kinds of mixed in there. There's some award rankings that change in terms of the deal as well, in terms of the options. I haven't seen the full deal yet. It'll be really exciting to see when this finally gets done. But this is the way Seattle is building cost certainties. Seattle has the money. They've done it before in terms of signing Robinson Cano in the past. There is some money there out in Seattle to really build a team. And they're locking up that core future Hall of Fame type player that they're hoping on and banking on that Julio Rodriguez will become. We've seen it not work out in Seattle before with them losing Alex Rodriguez in the past, Ken Griffey Jr. These types of players have left Seattle. But this is the type of thing that makes a lot of sense. I don't understand why other teams aren't looking at this more often, especially at a younger age. If you can get that 7-8 year deal where cost certainty, where you're not killing the budget, 10, 15 million on the max end of a player's salary for the year. We saw the Pirates do it earlier in the year with Brian Hayes. I think that's the type of deal that makes a lot of sense. But you've got to really bank on these players early on. The White Sox had done it in the past with Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez. Those players weren't even at the major league level yet. I think this is the way teams have to start approaching these younger players and getting them under term and buying out some early free agent years, their first, second, third years of free agency to get more cost certainty. Is there risk involved? Yes, absolutely. Young players we know don't always pan out. But for these top end potential players, maybe this is the way Major League Baseball is going to have to go. I'm really intrigued to see where things go from here. But the success the Atlanta Braves have had, it just makes so much sense with what they've been able to consistently do the last 5 years or so. It makes sense for other teams to start to follow this image and follow GM Alex Anthopoulos, who followed the steps of the previous management in Atlanta. It makes so much sense. The only guy in Atlanta who hasn't really signed one of these types of deals is shortstop Dansby Swanson. That's why he's approaching free agency so quickly. But Swanson never really hit on that potential early in his career, so it made some sense for the Braves to wait and go through the pre-arbitration and arbitration years for Swanson. Those players that hit early on in that first, maybe second year of pre-arbitration contracts, those are the types of players the teams need to target with these longer-term deals. Unfortunately for my Jays, I kind of think they've missed the boat on potentially Vlad Jr. I'm the type of player, in my mind, I would have left Bo Bichette alone and worked through the pre-arbitration arbitration years. The reason why I say that is because players have to be able to play at a high level on the defensive end or have a fit that makes sense for them. Bo Bichette views himself as a shortstop and almost nothing else at this time. That doesn't fit a long-term contract. Vlad Jr. has moved from third to first. He's welcome to playing some DH and up to the idea that makes sense to a long-term contract. A player like Juan Soto, who's probably going to have to move from the outfield to either a first base or DH, locking him up to a long-term deal, to me that doesn't make sense. If he can't consistently contribute in the outfield or at first base, then no, you can't go long-term with that type of player. It doesn't make sense. I hope you enjoy this type of content. So if you agree with me, hit that thumbs up. If you disagree with me, comment down below. I love talking this stuff, the analytics sides, the contracts, everything goes along with it. These young player contracts make a lot of sense to me. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate all the support, and welcome to the new den. I'll show you more of it as we get more set up. Until next time, I hope you guys love talking baseball. Leave a comment down below what you want to talk about next. We're going to get into so much content. I'm back to work soon, so unfortunately, the upload schedule might be a little off, but I'll continue to get those videos out there. We got to talk fantasy baseball as well. So until next time, if you're into this type of content, subscribe down below. Help me get to that 50 subscribers. And as always, take care, everyone.